It's time to move this country forward. That's why I'm running for President of the United States of America. I have a different vision for the future. Instead of spending $12 billion a month to rebuild Iraq, I think it's time we invested in our roads and schools and bridges and started to rebuild America. Instead of handing out giveaways to corporations that don't need them and didn't even ask for them, it's time we start giving a hand up to families that are trying to pay their medical bills and send their children to college. We can't afford 4 more years of skewed priorities that give us nothing but record debt. We need change that works for the American people, and that is the choice in this election. My vision involves both a short-term plan to help working families who are struggling to keep up right now, and a long-term agenda to make America competitive in a global economy. A week from today, I'll be talking about this long-term agenda in more detail. It's an agenda that will require us first and foremost to train and educate our workforce with the skills necessary to compete in a knowledge-based economy. We'll also need to place a greater emphasis on areas like science and technology that will define the workforce of the 21st century. We'll need to invest in the research and innovation necessary to create jobs and industries of the future right here in North Carolina, right here in the United States of America. And one place where that investment would make an enormous difference is in a renewable energy policy that ends our addiction on foreign oil, provides real long-term relief from high gas prices and high fuel costs, and builds a green economy that could create up to 5 million well-paying jobs that can't be outsourced. We can also create millions of new jobs by rebuilding our schools, roads, bridges, and other critical infrastructure that needs repair. And because we know that we can't or shouldn't put up walls around our economy, a long-term agenda will also find a way to make trade work for American workers. We do the cause of free trade, a cause I believe in, no good when we pass trade agreements that hand out favors to special interests and do little to help workers who have to watch their factories close down. There is nothing protectionist about demanding that trade the benefits of globalization as broadly as possible. That's what we need to do in the long term. But today I want to focus on what we must do in the short term right now to lift up our workers, ease the struggles that so many families are facing, and restore a sense of fairness and balance to our economy. Such relief can't wait until the next president takes office. In January, well before the administration seemed to discover ordinary Americans were struggling, I called for a fiscal stimulus plan to get checks into the hands of hardworking families and seniors right away. Congress passed such a plan, and the first checks are now arriving. But since then, hundreds of thousands of more people have lost their jobs. And so we have to do more. And that's why I've called for another round of fiscal stimulus, an immediate $50 billion to help those who've been hit hardest by this economic downturn. Americans who have lost their jobs, their homes, are facing rising costs in everything from food to a gallon of gas. We've got to give them some relief right now. We need a second round of rebate checks to help people with their soaring gas and grocery bills. We need to expand unemployment benefits and extend them for those who can't find another job right away, especially since the long-term unemployment rate is nearly twice as high as it was during the last recession. And we must help the millions of homeowners who are facing foreclosure through no fault of their own. As late as December, John McCain told a newspaper in New Hampshire that he'd love to offer a solution to the housing crisis, but he just didn't have one. It took him 3 different tries to figure it out. And in the end, his plan does nothing to help 1.5 million homeowners who are facing foreclosure, even as he supported spending billions to bail out Wall Street. President Bush told the American people he thought the biggest danger arising from this housing crisis was the temptation to do something about it. This is what he said. Now, Senator McCain wants to turn Bush's policy of too little, too late into a policy of even less, even later. That's not the change we need right now. That's what got us into this mess in the first place.